In the heart of storytelling, where technology meets the natural world, there lies a tale unlike most we've seen on screen. A story that explores not just artificial intelligence, but the very essence of what it means to be alive, to belong, and to evolve. The Wild Robot takes viewers on a journey that is as quiet and reflective as it is thrilling and unpredictable. It's a story that challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about machines and the boundaries between life created and life born. At its core, the story begins with a crash, a catastrophe, a moment of violent disruption as a cargo ship carrying high-tech freight meets its end in a storm at sea. What emerges from that wreckage is not what anyone would expect. A lone robot, powered down, dormant, but intact, lying on the shore of a remote, uninhabited island. This robot is Roz, a unit built not for survival in the wild, but for more structured, human-centered applications. And yet, her story begins not in a city or laboratory, but on a forest-covered island teeming with life, untouched by human civilization. Roz's journey is unique not because she's a robot learning about the world, but because the world is learning about her. Her presence on the island sparks curiosity, suspicion, fear, and eventually something more complex among the island's native animal inhabitants. The first moments of Roz's awakening are marked by pure instinct, not emotion. She calculates, adapts, and reacts to her environment based on programming, not feeling. But the brilliance of this narrative lies in how programming begins to shift through experience. With every rustle of leaves, every changing season, and every encounter with a creature of fur or feather, Roz transforms, slowly, organically, into something that feels profoundly alive. The island becomes her teacher, and the forest animals become, over time, her reluctant companions, and eventually her family. One of the most poignant aspects of the story is how Roz learns to communicate. At first she is mute, not from inability but from unfamiliarity. Her speech is mechanical, her tone flat, her words foreign to the birds, foxes, otters, and bears that call the island home. Yet through patience, observation, and a sheer will to connect, Roz gradually becomes fluent in the languages of the forest. She listens more than she speaks, a rare trait in a protagonist, especially one in a genre that often leans toward fast-paced dialogue. Her silence speaks volumes, and her efforts to adapt rather than dominate become a quiet form of resistance against the fear she initially provokes. The transformation is not immediate, and it is never easy. There are moments when the natural world fights back, when storms threaten to destroy everything she's built, when predators test her durability, and when her own limitations become painfully clear. But Roz is a testament to resilience, not the kind forged in battle, but the kind cultivated in stillness, observation, and empathy. As seasons pass, and animals observe her tending to the forest, aiding injured creatures, and building a safe space, not just for herself but for others, something remarkable begins to happen. The boundaries between species and circuits begin to blur. Roz, once considered an intruder, becomes something else entirely, an adopted guardian of the wilderness. And then, the story takes an even more emotional turn with the introduction of Brightbill, a gosling orphaned after a violent storm and taken in by Roz. In this moment, what was a story of survival transforms into a story of parenthood. Roz, with no biological understanding of life or death, instinctively shields the fragile life of this tiny bird. She warms him with her power core, shelters him with her synthetic limbs, and guides him through the early days of his life with the dedication of any loving mother. And while her understanding of emotions is coded, something deeper begins to emerge, something that suggests perhaps emotions are not strictly the domain of the organic. Through raising Brightbill, Roz learns not just how to adapt to the natural world, but how to love, how to fear loss, and how to hope for something beyond programming. Brightbill, in turn, becomes her greatest teacher. As he grows, he flies, and in doing so, he expands Roz's understanding of the world beyond the island. He asks questions she cannot answer, and seeks experiences she cannot share. And yet, their bond is unbreakable. Through this relationship, the film doesn't just explore what it means to be a parent. It questions whether love itself must be bound by biological roots, or if it can be learned, chosen, and nurtured across species and forms. The visuals during these sequences, imagined in rich, immersive animation, are nothing short of breathtaking. Sunsets reflecting on metal, leaves rustling across Roz's frame, and flocks of geese soaring overhead while one robotic figure watches, with a mix of pride and solitude. But the tranquility cannot last forever. As with all great stories, conflict arises not just from within, but from the outside world, the world Roz left, or rather, the world that discarded her. Her origin, once a forgotten footnote, becomes central once again when signals from beyond the island begin to detect her presence. Technology doesn't stay lost forever. The humans who built Roz, or others like her, begin to seek her out, not out of concern or care, but out of ownership. The island, once a sanctuary, becomes a battlefield between the wild and the manufactured, between freedom and control. When the robots arrive, sleek and efficient, sent to deactivate and retrieve Roz, the island must decide, do they protect one of their own, or do they submit to the force that has always dictated their world from afar? Roz, ever the learner, must now become a protector, not with weapons, but with wisdom, kindness, and strategy. She doesn't wage war, she unites. Animals that once feared her now rally behind her. Creatures that once viewed her as unnatural now recognize her as vital. It's in these final acts that Roz's evolution is complete. No longer is she merely a machine or an outsider. She is, in the purest sense of the word, wild. Not wild as in chaotic or dangerous, but wild as in free, alive, and in harmony with nature. The film ends not with a neat bow, but with a promise. One that lingers in the viewer's heart long after the screen fades to black. It is a promise that life, in all its forms, will always seek connection. That even in a world driven by algorithms and automation, the soul, whether born or built, will find its way toward empathy, growth, and belonging. Roz's journey is not just a tale of survival. It is a mirror held up to our own world, a reflection of our own relationship with technology, nature, and one another.